Hello and welcome to Not Without My Sister, where today we will be answering your questions. Yes, you're correct. It is the mailbag episode. Beatrice, what questions do you wish people would ask us? Questions with compliments attached.
Oh,
let me tell you.
100%.
How did you get so great? How did you get so successful? How are you such a great mom? How are you so stylish?
No, that would make me suspicious.
That's actually true. Okay, listen, forget it. We'll just get into our real questions. I'm going to do them slightly in order, but I'm going to skip over the ones I don't like. Number 1. Am I childish to be disappointed that my husband makes little or no effort to acknowledge my birthday? I'm fully aware I'm 38 and there are fully more important things happening in the world.
No, you're not childish.
No, you're not childish. No.
No, 100% no.
I mean, it'd be one thing if you were like, he doesn't make a big deal of my birthday. I do think at a certain point you go, you know what, it's not that big a deal. Like depressingly, because I enjoy celebrating my birthday. Sometimes I'm like, I suppose it's not that big a deal anymore.
No, but like...
But I would like to wake up and be told happy birthday. You know what I mean?
Oh.
A card, present, maybe dinner.
I mean, I have to say, as somebody who has frequently forgotten my husband's birthday and some of my children's birthdays when they were young enough to let me forget them, that it could be truly an innocent, if it's a truly innocent forgetfulness and then it gets made up to you, that's one thing. But like, there's only one day of the year where it is your birthday and it is an accepted
And you've always felt
celebration.
guilty for forgetting. Like
Yeah,
your
I mean,
husband's and your kid, like
I
your
didn't
kids
feel
are like,
so
oh,
guilty with
lol.
the kids because
Yeah,
they were like 1 or 2.
they didn't
and I was like,
realise.
they're fine.
But this person doesn't say that the husband forgets, says that her husband makes little to no effort to acknowledge my birthday.
I think it's one thing to say, like, I'm not getting you a big gift, you're 38, you're 40, you're 43. Fine, right? You can buy whatever you want for yourself, I hope, at this point, right? You would. You don't have to, like, wait for it to be bought for you. Although there is something very nice about the thoughtful, this was picked out for you.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, that the making of the dinner, the baking of the cake, like, all this effort, you know, recognition and appreciation of you and a special day where they get to express, it's more an expression of love and appreciation of you. So yeah, I do think it's hurtful if somebody forgets all of that.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're childish. And even if your partner is somebody who just doesn't really care about birthdays, I think it's fine to say to them, you know what, I do care and it is meaningful to me.
Yeah, maybe
that
you can
you
do
would
nothing for
recognise
them
it.
for their
Yeah.
birthday, right? Like,
That'd be great.
if it doesn't matter to them and they don't appreciate it, it's like the person, you have a certain friend who does not celebrate Christmas, and despite your many efforts to share with her the joys of Christmas from your vantage point, eventually, like, I think you did realize, like, that it's not.
She celebrates Christmas, just doesn't love it the way I do. And I was
Yeah.
like, if I throw Christmas shit at her
Yeah.
really aggressively, she will eventually like love baubles.
Well, I mean, I think
No.
you did a stocking and all these kinds of things that, like, you
Yeah,
were
and then
thinking,
I was disappointed.
because you did it because it's what you would appreciate, right?
Mhm.
Whereas, you know, if your husband doesn't appreciate it himself and doesn't maybe realize, like Rosemary's saying, doesn't maybe realize how much you appreciate it, it's like, it's not about him. Do you know what? Here's the sum up. Here's the summation. It's not about him. That's what you
Yeah.
say. Give him that
Yeah.
book. It's not about you. It's about, and then put underneath it in Sharpie, it's about me. It's my birthday.
Sorry, by that book, do you mean my book, This Is Not About You, which is out next July?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that the
good
book you
one.
were talking about?
Yeah, no, I was thinking about the other one. Like, he's not that into you. I'd forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, your book. Yeah, buy Rosemary's book, and then on Sharpie on the cover, write, it's about me. It's my birthday. Right?
Happy birthday to me. Buy it for yourself for your birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
That was very, very well done of me, even inadvertently.
Yeah, even
Obviously
if you just confused it with the name of another book, which is worrying. Okay, American Christmas vibes. Is it really like we see in the movies?
Yeah, I did. I mean, Americans go all out for every holiday.
Yeah, a lot of America is not like we see in the movies, and I have been disappointed. Like things like, I really thought that there were going to be more cheerleaders walking around their cheerleaders'
I
uniforms.
thought, and this is a ridiculous thing to say, but I genuinely, from watching Coca-Cola ads for years, thought that there was going to be a lot of people, like in the summertime, that they would just take the top off. What are those things in the street that you're not allowed to park beside?
A fire hydrant
I mean, and that does happen sometimes in New York, but I truly thought that, like,
on a hot day.
tanned people would just be dancing around the fire hydrant. Yeah, I really did, right? Because that was what happened in all the Coca-Cola ads. That doesn't happen anyway. So, but actually the other day when we were going out for Halloween, right? When we were trick-or-treating with the kids and I was wearing my, oh my God, amazing costume.
The other day,
Hours
Beatrice, a month ago.
yeah, hours of effort went into it. But we were having an actual
She
conversation
put on
about
a cloak and carried around Baby Yoda.
Yeah, we were having, and everybody loved Baby Yoda, let me tell you.
true.
Thanks for lending him to me. But we were having a conversation about, where do Americans store
And I
all
found
of-
out. Did I tell you this?
No, but let me give the question first.
Sorry.
So where do Americans store all of their holiday-related paraphernalia? Because for every holiday,
Their
be it-
seasonal decor. Yeah.
Kevin, my friend, has an entire bunny outfit that he hopped up the garden in.
For
right?
Easter, not
for
for
Easter.
Halloween.
So it's like, not for Halloween. It wasn't Scary Bunny, but for every holiday. I mean, and they spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like for Halloween.
Almost every month, I feel like there's a different, like
Yes.
our neighbours' porches, there's a different little porch sign that says like Happy Fall or like Halloween or Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then there's spring and then there's Valentine's and then there's graduation.
It is not
changes
a coincidence.
all the time.
Kevin explained to me that his dad actually worked for Hallmark. Everything suddenly crystallized. Clarity descended upon me. His dad worked for Hallmark, so they celebrated every holiday, right? But it is not a coincidence that Hallmark is an American institution. This idea of like the commercialization of holidays is a real thing. And like everybody has a ton of pumpkins on their shelves, on their steps. Everybody buys potted mums for their door. I don't even know what mums have to do with it. Everybody has dangling skeletons.
I only realised last week that my mum is a chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a different plant called a mum. Beatrice, how was I to know?
Listen, you're a dote. You're actually smart in there. But
they have storage units. That's what I found out.
I don't think most of them have storage units.
Of our 10 American listeners. Yeah, I'll actually do a poll on our Instagram.
Yeah.
American listeners, answer only. Do you own a storage unit?
Are you telling me people in Fort Wayne have storage units? They have massive houses.
Well, a friend of mine whose place I went over to the other day lives in an apartment and she has a storage unit.
Okay, but she lives in an apartment. Does anybody with a house have a storage unit? They
No,
don't.
because they have a basement.
And they have extra sheds just full of holiday decoration stuff.
Yeah, see, we don't have a basement, so I feel like I'm left out of this holiday decor
It's not
drama.
just that. Like the other day, what was it? I was like, I only get around to decorating the day before. Right? They all decorate a month ahead and really celebrate it, whereas I'm going, this isn't worth it.
And there's a lot of upkeep as well. I feel like people have like
so much work.
those decorations in their front garden and one will break and then you'll see them out fixing it and you're like, Halloween still isn't for 2 weeks. You've 2 weeks of fixing this ahead of you.
Yeah.
And then a week afterwards, but then it all comes down for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and then they decorate for Thanksgiving and then they decorate for Christmas.
Yeah, so it is very like Christmas and people, I think, genuinely have like a box of their plaid clothes that they get out for Christmas and their Christmas decor and they really go. Loads of our neighbours have their Christmas trees up already, actually.
Oh, I
you have your Christmas tree up. Yeah.
But they're also really, there's also a real, I said this to you actually as well. And I saw through the lens of our 2 Irish cousins, my cousins. Remember I used to call mom my mom the whole time when we started the podcast. Through our cousins. I was like, it's so bizarre, these weird traditions, because in a country where traditions are entirely created, like the idea of a tradition in America is so different to the tradition in Ireland, where it's like, we've been doing this for 3,000 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like going apple picking. It's real like, it's fall. We're going to go apple picking and go on a pumpkin hayride. And everybody does it. Have you done your apple picking yet?
Yeah, we used to go and pick blackberries from the bushes by the side of the road, whereas here it's like we're going to the blackberry farm.
But also not everybody in the entire country
no, of course.
went blackberry picking.
Yeah.
Everybody
Although they
here,
should. That was great fun.
We
found a kitten one year.
Oh, God bless it. And then, but everybody here does these things. It is part of your annual family journey, you know, and they do hayrides and then they go and they do the corn maze in Indiana. You know, we have corn mazes and like actually terrifying getting in that maze because you can't see a thing. And like I totally got lost last year and couldn't find the way out. So terrifying.
I know, and it's for kids.
But I think like for Christmas is a lot of the lighting. They did the lighting downtown of like, I said this to Don. I do not understand. They go downtown in Fort Wayne and on one wall of one building is a big Santa Claus in a sleigh. And it's called the lighting, the festival, whatever, the lighting event. And they go down and they watch this being plugged in. And the whole street is blocked off and they're all celebrating this one thing. It's like as if we all went to Brian Thomas's windows to look at some string lights on the door. There were no windows. Like there's nothing. It's just this one thing. And they like, it's real like but they fully engage in, you know, seasonal revelry.
Yeah.
Like with the passion and gusto beyond belief.
And
oh my God, I'm there for it.
I quite admire it, yeah.
I'm there for it, but
yeah,
I can't be there. I can't be doing it. My garden. Also, I did buy some of those styrofoam graves for Halloween in an effort.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they never got out into the garden, but because the kids used them inside as swords, and so there was just styrofoam pebbles everywhere around the house.
Styrofoam, slime, and putty are 3 things that should never be allowed in the house. Sorry, speaking of putty, we saw in Costco the other day it was some kind of like glitter explosion creation, and myself and Brandon stood there for a good 10 minutes debating whether to buy it for your kids, and then I was like, you know what? We need to not make this into a tit for tat thing. Because remember you gave us that make your own slime. So we're like, Beatrice deserves this. And then we were like, no, we can't because then she'll come back harder. So
Well,
we didn't
yesterday
get it
I
for you.
watched Yes Day with Jennifer Garner, and at the very end, they have a big family. They have the kids go crazy when the parents are in jail. Long story, and they do all these foam experiments. So you bring that slime to me, Rosemary, and I'll be
Wasn't
throwing
slime, it was glitter.
foam bombs down your toilet, and the whole house was overcome with pink foam. So
Have you seen that thing where the person put what are they called? The little like jelly balls that expand, and there's a big warning about them, like don't bring them into your house because your baby will swallow them and they expand in their stomachs. These little balls that expand, and somebody put them in their drains, and they literally came up. It was on TikTok, came up all through their bath. I'll try and find the name of them. Oh my god, what were they called? Orbeez. Orbeez.
what are they?
They're basically just like little absorbent balls. They're
What's the
clear.
purpose of them?
I don't know. Kids love playing with them. You put them in water and they expand. They can look cool. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. How did you guys meet your husbands, and when did you know they were the one? I met Brandon on Tinder, and I have never met and fancied a man I didn't believe was the one. So
Well, I was going to make a joke and say I met Don. This is not the joke part. I met Don through a mutual friend of ours. We were just talking about the other day. He was supposed to come up for Thanksgiving and then could not. And he was one of Don's best friends. And I met him. He was dating a girl in work that I was friends with. And he was like, he kept saying to me, like, you're definitely going to hit it off with this guy. You're going to love each other. We had a terrible first date. I've already gone into detail about this. And when I knew Don was the one, was when I got pregnant. No, that was a joke. That was a joke. I knew he was the one before that. I knew he was the one because he made me laugh, as they say. And he didn't ghost me.
I was just about to say, it doesn't actually take much to make you laugh. So
And I make myself laugh.
I
That's
know.
not the same as being made laugh.
That's not
by
the
a
same
third
as knowing
person.
somebody's the one. Oh, good point. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
sometimes.
make you laugh.
Yeah, but you are the one. And sometimes I go home
Oh.
from, like, not anymore, but I used to go home from dates and be like, oh, that was so much effort. You know, when you've made so much effort, you asked all the questions, you told all the jokes, you're like the entertainer. And I was like, I just can't. Don is very entertaining.
Whereas, see, you know what the difference between you and me is? I'm very optimistic. I used to come home from dates and tell Claire and be like, oh my God, I went on this date and he was so funny. And like, when I'd relay these stories and Claire would be like, Rosemary, this whole story is just you telling me you're funny. It doesn't sound like he was funny at all. And I was like, I laughed so much.
And you blame me. You say that I laugh at my own jokes, but I'm right now, just there, I laughed at you, but I laughed at you more than with you. But you also laugh at your own jokes, I've just realised. That makes me feel better.
Only when they're very good. Okay, someone else asked,
So rarely.
do you both still draw or paint?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I have some paintings out in the hole, Rosemary, that I did last year.
Oh yeah, last year. Yeah. But I mean,
last year, regularly,
Sorry,
on the regular.
Yeah.
On the regular.
I suppose
draw.
I mean regularly, but
I draw regularly.
You doodle a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I would like to think that I would be drawing. I tried to sketch the kids there recently, but they wouldn't stay still, and the pictures were so terrible. I did that great sketch of you. We can post that. I have it somewhere.
I don't draw or paint, and I haven't drawn or painted in ages. I think I picked up a pencil about a year ago and tried to sketch one of the boys. I know. I was literally like, how did I draw anything with this? This is very difficult. And I did actually, because I have that like paper tablet, and I did realize that you can turn the pen into like a calligraphy pen.
Oh, that's nice.
I was like, I should practice my calligraphy, and then I've no idea where it is.
I was doing calligraphy right now.
I really like calligraphy. I wish I was good at it.
You know what? I'd say, do I draw or paint? Not as much as I'd like to, but I do frame things a lot.
Do you cook? No, but I frequently eat. Okay, so this is kind of a two-pronged. Do I have a process for writing my press articles, and does Beatrice have a design process? Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay. My process for writing my press articles is, so I usually get myself a Google Calendar and I'll work out my different deadlines, when things are due and when I need to start working on them. And I'll try and work out how many hours of work they're going to take and how I can divide that over a certain number of days, so I'm not doing it all in one block at the last minute. And then what I'll do is I'll start with, okay, what actual block of research needs to be done for this article? And I'll start gathering together my primary source. No, I literally do everything at the last minute. I have no process whatsoever.
Well, that's a problem because I have a whole episode planned where you're going to talk about your process.
Well, it's going to be very short.
It's not. Do I have a process? Well, I pull a lot of inspiration. Images, right? From not necessarily from fashion, from art, from
architecture.
Yeah, architecture. Just even colors. I was looking yesterday at a flower making book and having some great conversations about like paper flower making and talking about maybe taking some of those, being inspired by plates to make flowers, etc. But I also think very often I am inspired by doing other crafts. Like, I think that just getting started is the hardest part, right? Because I can pull...
That's true about writing as well, I think.
I can pull swipe and images for like days on end and find it hard to kind of anchor around what is the kicking off point of this collection idea, whatever. So very often I think like I'll kind of look at a color palette and go, this is great. And then by the time I've like pulled the color palette together, I'm like, it's been 2 years and it's too long. It's gone. It's passe, you know? But I like to more kind of see common themes. It's shapes. It's this. And then I think once I pick the kind of main anchor detail, like whether it's a piece of hardware or it's a seam or the shape of kind of an overall silhouette, then I would just start doing thumbnails. And then those thumbnails like are really small drawings about like 2 inches tall. And you kind of just, I find that that's a lot of people, obviously nowadays, especially go straight to the computer. But I feel like the computer is very final. Like they'll go straight to, Illustrator or Photoshop. But I think that the pen is where you, like, because doodling really is kind of a figuring out, or like it's kind of a realization in real time. Like it's
a working through
yes,
your thoughts and
exactly.
putting them down in
really
real time.
And I feel like that's been lost a lot by moving design to computers, because people go to, like, it takes so much more to, unless you're actually drawing, unless you're actually sketching within a computer. People tend to go and like be like, I'm just going to do this once and then it'll be done. And then I don't think you work through, it's kind of like lacking the iterative process,
The iterative process. Look at you.
I know, right? So I do like thumbnailing, and I also like brainstorming with people, like with groups of people. I'm not as good. I don't think I'd be a great designer like by myself. I found the pandemic very uncreative from that perspective. Like it was great to concentrate and think about, kind of from an intellectual perspective what design should happen or how we would put it together. But without having a group of people together to be passionate, enthusiastic, and excited about stuff, I'm not as inspired. So, but that's personal. I don't think everybody's like that.
That's interesting though.
And then you kind of whittle it down to what is then the more final version of. And sometimes I used to make kind of paper maquettes of some of these things, cut them out. And I actually love packaging books for that reason. I love just reading packaging books and thinking about different constructions, because I think very often, especially working in like accessories, people come to it with a sort of a fixed mindset of it has two gussets, it has two sides, it has a front, it has a back. But if you think about it more in the round, like from a sculptural perspective, must it? Where should the seams go? How do you construct things differently? So I find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, next question. If you could have written one book, what would it be? And if you could have written the script to one show? If I could have written one book, it would be French Women Don't Get Fat, The Secret of Eating for Pleasure.
You're such an idiot. What book would you have actually written?
Probably like A Secret History by Donna Tartt. I thought that was amazing.
Why, Rosemary? Do I have to pull these out of
I can't actually remember a thing about it. I just remember thinking it was amazing.
What was amazing about it? I'm sure you remember some. Like
it was just amazingly written. Or you know what? Any of Meg Wolitzer's books. I think what I like about Meg Wolitzer's books is she tells a story, but in telling the story, she goes off sometimes on these completely related but tangents, and she'll go into another different kind of pastiche about that person's life or that person's experience, but it never feels like it's taking you out of the story. Whereas when I'm writing, if I go off on a tangent or I start, I'm like, she sat next to her mother. She always thought her mother was blah, blah, blah. I'll sometimes then be like, oh my God, where was I? And I find it hard to weave the thread back into the fabric of the story. Whereas I feel like Meg Wolitzer has an incredible talent in doing just that and in not losing you, the reader. So I suppose in saying I would like to have written any of her books, it's like I would like to have that skill, or I'd like to get better at that skill that I feel like she's really honed.
So I have lots of books I would like to have written. But from a writer perspective, I think that I would actually like to have written Maeve Binchy's books, or John Irving, or I can't remember what her name is now. Margaret May. Ask It Again, Yes. Is that what it's called? Say It Again, Yes.
Ask Again, Yes.
Again, Yes. Ask Again, Yes.
By Mary Beth Keane.
Correct. Right.
Margaret May.
Mary Elizabeth Margaret. And I think they all have very similar things in common, that they're all about very ordinary lives and ordinary people, but they are made extraordinary by the focus on, actually, what's his name? Russo is the same.
Richard Russo. Oh, yeah.
Richard Russo, yeah. That like you care about these people so intensely, that it creates a connection between the characters and the readers. And just like, I care so much. I'm crying my eyes out about like this person living a totally normal life, working in the diner down the road, you know? And I think that that's amazing. This elevation of like this, even Stephen King in his own way, like is amazing at that. Like taking what is so normal and like everyday conversation and details and making it so fascinating. And I just go, who are these people with these amazing observational skills? Because like I similarly, now I am not a writer, but when I do write or have written, I could go on for like 3 paragraphs. It takes me 5 hours to write these 3 paragraphs explaining like the curvature of the desk. But at the end, I'm like, so boring, so boring. But Stephen King makes it so interesting.
You know what I was going to say? I think though, even though you say you're not a writer because you don't actively write regularly, right? I think you write a lot in your head in terms of when things happen, you think like, how would you tell that story? Which is writing. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's not-
often you...
But that's thinking. So I think a lot. And I tell you what, I write a lot in my dreams. And I wake up and I go, that was... I mean, there's very little humility in my dreams. That was
That's
phenomenal.
not just your dreams now, to be honest.
I go, that was an amazing... And I actually composed the most amazing and complicated music in my dreams. Like full on orchestras. But then when I sit up, I go, I'm going to record this into my phone immediately. And I go, like, and it doesn't sound the same. There were just like layers, all these instruments. And I know that that's how the Rolling Stones got one of their biggest hits. Your man dreamt about it. And he woke up the next morning and wrote it down.
So this could be you.
But no, it couldn't be because like I wake up and I can't grasp
it falls through your fingers. It's very annoying, isn't it?
Oh.
What about what script to one TV show? Succession. I think it's so clever. I've never seen The West Wing.
The West Wing, so sharp, so biting, so incisive. But like I'm bored of politics. This was before politics was everywhere, so I would be watching it now.
Yeah,
but also such great roles for women. Like really, some of the women were some.
Now I feel bad for saying Succession.
Characters.
Very few roles for women.
And Shiv's an actual Shiv.
I know.
Are Jerry?
Oh, I like Jerry though.
She's grand.
Are there videos of you recording the pod that we can watch somewhere?
Did you write that in?
No, but there are not. But is that something that you would like? Would you all like that? If we get we could have a camera right there.
Sorry. Is that something you'd all like? And how do you imagine it in your mind's eye? Because I don't want it to be, I'm currently wearing my nightie and Don's shirt on top of my nightie.
Well, imagine, Beatrice, we'd have to get dressed up and do our makeup. It'd be like a whole studio production.
That's more what I'm saying. What is your expectation of watching us do the podcast? Because I don't think it's what we look like right now.
Maybe we could set up a camera on that tree out there. And then we would just be a little blurry far away. But like it wouldn't matter what we look like. They'd just see us chatting to each other. And the gestures, that'd be fun.
Your face would be good, actually, most of the time. When you make like, you raise your eyebrow and look outraged half the time. That doesn't translate as well now into radio.
And you do sometimes laugh silently, which I think would be nice for people to see. We also have a few questions. People are very nice asking if me and my family are okay and if I'm doing okay, because in case you don't follow me on Instagram, what are you doing in case you don't follow me on Instagram? But if you don't follow me on Instagram, I mentioned in my stories over the last day or two that my husband was let go from his job the day before Thanksgiving, 2 days before Black Friday. Outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a joke. But the day before Thanksgiving, he was let go. So he's now looking for a job and we've no health insurance. So we're kind of having a bit of a... Because in America, your health insurance is mostly tied to your job. You can do it privately, but it's really expensive, like $2,000 a month expensive. So that's been a bit of a shock, but we're all doing fine. He is characteristically optimistic and getting on with it, a la Claire McCabe. Actually, maybe he is a weird combination of mum and dad. But yeah, we're fine, and hopefully everything will work out. What is the one thing you both argue over, so you'd prefer to avoid the topic? Voting rights.
What?
No, I don't know.
Nothing? Starting a business together?
We don't really argue about that anymore.
Yeah, because you've made it clear you shut me down. But then I was reading this thing about this daughter and her mom who started I think it was in Belgium, or it was something like Elizabeth Belgium. So like I need to remember the name right now. It was in the gloss, I think, that mom sent over. And I was like, be so nice. They were like, we get up every day and we hang out. Now the daughters, I don't think they live together because the daughters was talking about, I think, her husband and their family and stuff. So maybe they do. You're welcome to move in here and for us to start a business. Anyway, their house was wallpapered gorgeously. They had beautiful just decor and they do gorgeous apparel. I was like, God, we'd love this. Just sitting around all day making decisions together.
Well,
yes.
Well, would I feel like we'd argue.
You'd love it. No, we wouldn't argue. You have to do the social media, so you'd be busy.
Sorry, it sounds already like you're being incredibly bossy. No, we wouldn't argue. You'd have to do the social media. So you'd be too busy to argue
You'd
with me.
obviously be doing social media. I
You'd
can't
be
get
the
that phone out of
dictator in
your
the corner.
hand.
I don't want to do, but I only like doing social media for myself.
This would be for yourself. Which part of
Oh
us
yeah,
in
sorry, I
business
forgot
together?
about that. What's top of your
Jesus.
travel bucket list?
I'd love to go to New Zealand. Actually, love to
Oh,
go
I'd
to
like to-
Hawaii.
Oh my God, Brandon revealed to me the other day he's always wanted to go to Australia.
Oh, Kim's going to Australia for Christmas.
What's in Australia?
Lots of things. Sydney, beautiful landscape. Didgeridoos.
I don't know why I found that so funny, just the way you said it.
Right? It's supposed to be gorgeous.
Didgeridoos.
The coral reefs.
No, I mean, it is supposed to be gorgeous, but I just like, I'd
Chris
rather go
Hemsworth.
to New Zealand. Please. Beatrice, there are 2 other Hemsworths.
I know.
This is like somebody be like, what's in Fort Wayne? And someone else would go, Rosemary McCabe. And
somebody
they wouldn't
be
even mention you.
like. Somebody
Be like,
well, and now that Liam one is going to be The Witcher, which is
oh,
an outrage, if I may
I'm
say so.
horrified. And probably 2 episodes into his run as the Witcher, I'll be like, he's so sexy.
Oh,
I
no
love
doubt.
him.
No doubt. You'll be like,
He
this
looks
white
great
hair.
in that
yeah.
wig. My travel bucket list, you know what, has got, I was going to say more modest, not really modest, but there are loads of places in America that I'd really like to go to even do like weekends. I'd like I really want to do a weekend in Chicago with Brandon. I'd love to go to,
Excuse me, with Brandon.
sorry, I'd also like to do one with you, but it would be totally different. I'd like to do a weekend in Chicago with Brandon having sex. And I'd like to, I'm joking.
Oh.
See, if we were videoing
You
that,
just
that
do
would
in your
have been
house?
perfect. Your face.
Oh.
No, I'd like to do a weekend in Chicago with Brandon and like do a lot of touristy things. And I'd like to do a weekend in Chicago with you and do some touristy things and also go to Primark and go to nice restaurants and stay in a lovely hotel. Maybe I just want to go with you. But no, I'd like to go to, like, there's so many.
Canyon.
I'd love to go to the Grand Canyon. There's so many parts of America that I would love to go and see that I haven't. And I feel like I've been spending a lot of time like feeling sad about the fact that like I can't just go to London. I'm like, when will I ever go to Paris again? And I'm like, there's actually so much of America to explore. That, and I'd love to go to New Orleans.
I'd like to go to New Mexico. I had a great time in New Orleans with Julie.
Oh, me Julie.
Yeah, me
I've mentioned me
Julie.
Julie in a while.
Mhm.
Okay, someone else asked, best advice for someone in their mid-20s. Which I think is like, what advice would you give yourself in your mid-20s? Don't run after that man.
Oh,
Could apply to all men.
that's a big assumption. The person may be running after nobody.
No, I'm talking about advice I would give myself.
Oh.
Like if I could give...
Is that what the question was?
No, so best advice for someone in their mid-20s. Okay, so say me in my mid-20s, I would say, but I would never accept this advice. Genuinely, please spend some time not worrying about men.
Oh
right?
my God, I tried to give you that advice
I know,
multiple
fuck
times.
off. Shh.
I did.
I know you did. Of course, it wouldn't go in. Advice to someone in their mid-20s. You know what? I feel like in my mid-20s, I was always being told, like, your 20s are the best time of your life. And I felt very like I wasn't doing it right because I wasn't enjoying my 20s that much, if you know what I mean. That I felt like everyone was like, oh my God, this is your time to do X and Y. And I wasn't doing X and Y. So like, what was I doing? And I was in a panic. And I also got that job in the Irish Times and I was terrified that I like peaked too soon, which in hindsight I had peaked too soon and then lost that job. And I've never reached those dizzying heights since. But I just think I would say, try not to put yourself under pressure to be having a great time or doing the best or being the best or like achieving or whatever it is. That's hard though to take on board, I think. What about you?
Well, I was thinking that I would probably say to somebody in their 20s, be open to things. I would recommend being open to new adventures and jobs and places and things that maybe feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I think that like a lot of people that I know in their 20s were like unwilling to, I'm not going here because I've got this job and I can't annoy them. I'm not going here because I'd have to ask for 2 weeks off. I'm not going to do this because, well, I have a really stable job / relationship / I don't think I'd be comfortable.
God, are you talking to me?
Partly.
My 20s.
No, I don't think I'd be comfortable like moving abroad, even though I've got this great opportunity. And not that it's all about moving abroad, like even moving jobs or trying something new, or like there was a lot of like I heard a lot of people saying, you know, I think that they kind of felt very, comfortable is the wrong word, but more like maybe even trapped, or like a lot of choices had been taken from them because of where they were, or like the jobs they had or the salaries they had or whatever. And I just feel like you still have a lot of opportunity. You can change career. You can, at that point, like, I think it's harder now. I've got kids and like, it's like that. I hate Louis C.K., but it's like that. Was it Louis C.K.? I think it's a Louis C.K. joke. Like I thought, you know, I was going out with my girlfriend and I thought I could leave, but then we got engaged and I realized I couldn't leave. And then we had a kid. And then I realized I really couldn't leave. And then we had 2 kids. He's like, I could have left, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, not that I'm suggesting anybody should leave their spouse and children, but that like you're only as trapped as you mentally make yourself. And I'm sorry, I don't mean this all sound really negative. I'd be like, just, enjoy yourself and take advantage of the fact that you really probably don't have that many encumbrances or responsibilities or obligations. Because like right now, I think about my life and it's hard. Like a lot of what I'd still love to move somewhere else. I'd love to go and I'd love to go back and live in Paris again. I'd love to live in Italy. But to think about, how do I move 4 kids? How do I get a job that like covers off the cost of living, of moving? I would love to go back to Ireland. Even that is like, how much would it cost to move back home? Blah, blah, like really boring stuff. You don't probably have a lot of that now. So I would kind of say, just take advantage of, recognize that.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, for me, one of the biggest obstacles to ever doing anything was basically like, I'm in this relationship and it won't survive, right? And I remember people saying to me at the time, oh, well, if it's meant to be, like it will. And no, I don't believe that. But I don't think there's one person for everybody at all. So like, I feel like if you get an incredible opportunity and you're like, oh, my relationship won't survive, you can also take that opportunity. You can see if your relationship survives. If it does, great. If it doesn't, there's another one. Do you know what I mean?
Well, also,
like there
if
are
it
always
doesn't, you can probably
go back.
Yeah.
If you find it too difficult.
Yeah.
And long distance is hard, but it's easier. It's easier than ever now because we're all so connected.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like I would also say like not to, I would say to not consider, to think that like to realize that most things aren't permanent.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone.
Yeah, and I would also recommend, and here's the other one that I always give as advice, probably criticism you'd call it, to the students in the work. Here's another one that I often give as advice. You would probably consider criticism to students who are doing internships and stuff. Is that I think while it's important, I think, to have goals and aspirations, it is limiting to have overly specific ones. Like
to have a 5-year plan where you're going to be X.
Because I think it's very hard, and we're already hard enough on ourselves and beat ourselves up a lot. So it's more, I would like to be in a position to X, or in a job that gives me, XYZ kind of fulfillment. And really think about like, what do you enjoy doing? Because I just realized recently I'm at the halfway point of my career and I was like, fucking 22 more years. And on the one hand, but like, that's terrifying too, because then I'll be 65, Not that there's anything wrong with being 65.
If you'd be retiring at 65.
Well, yeah, 100% I'll be lucky if I'm retiring at 65. But like, the point is still, it's like, I want to be challenged and enjoy what I'm doing, because like, you have to come to work in most cases every day. And so while I don't think you have to love every minute of it, you want to at least not be miserable.
Sorry, you know what I'd also say to someone in their mid-20s? This is so fucking boring. Get a pension.
What?
Yeah, get a pension.
This is boring.
Pay very little into it if you want to pay a small amount, but just start putting some money aside for your future, because you are most definitely going to need it. Let's just do one last...
Wait, I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I mean, also you're going to need it more in America than you're going to need it in Ireland. So like, there's a difference, right?
True.
Here's another one. If you have the storage space into which you are depositing your seasonal decorations, keep all of your clothes, because you will regret the cool designer
You're
clothes.
talking to me
cool
again.
Clothes. No, I'm talking to myself.
Oh.
The cool clothes, handbags, shoes, etc. That keep some of them, because in the future you will go, I wish I hadn't given that away. And I'd like to just have them up in my wardrobe so that I could take them off the hanger and go, no, I was right to give this away, because it has tears in the arm, it has rips, and like the threads are all pulling, and the fit is actually dodgy, even though in my mind this fit is still highly relevant and fashion forward.
Yeah, I know. You always think fondly about the things you don't have, even though if you had them you'd be like, that's crap.
Correct. So keep a few just to remind yourself they are in fact crap.
The final question. What is your favourite nail polish colour on yourself? I appreciate this. A nice, simple, straightforward question.
Oh, wait, I want to go back to that question. I'd also say appreciate your friends and family, because they actually are really important. And when all this shit in life happens, you do realize like they're what it's all about. You probably already know that in your mid-20s, but like, I think that's true.
You might not. I feel like in my mid-20s I was probably still very annoyed at mum and dad a lot of the time.
Well, I feel like we weren't that close at that point. We had like ridiculous arguments over things the whole time, because we were still 7 years, 6-7 years apart. I'd lived away, etc. And I feel like now we missed an opportunity to spend a lot of time together, but we're making up for it now. But like, just that, that's what it's all about. Unless your family/friends are dicks to you and then ditch them.
Fuck them. Last question. What is your favorite nail polish color on yourself?
Okay, so you appreciate this simple question because your favorite color is?
I don't wear nail polish.
Well, then it's
Very
an easy
rarely.
question for you.
No, but when I go and get my nails done, I like an orangey red.
Why, Rosemary? What do you think it says about you?
Because I think it goes... So I used to go through phases of going like navy and then I'd be like, oh, this doesn't really go with the blue in this top or whatever. Whereas I feel like an orangey red just goes with everything. Like if you're wearing red, even if it clashes with the red, it's just a very... Like orangey red nail polish is a neutral nail polish. You know what I mean? I feel like it just goes with everything. It can be festive, it can be great on a night out, and then it can be fun during the day. And like when I used to get big long fake nails and I'd get different colours and patterns on them, if I was just wearing like leggings and a hoodie, I felt stupid. Like I was like wearing high heels with my leggings and a hoodie, that my nails were the high heels. Do you know what I mean?
You would anymore now that everybody has like nails the length of their arms.
No, probably not. But that was back in the day when it felt like the nails were very glam when the rest of me wasn't.
Cutting edge. I think that is orange red a neutral, or is it a passe J. Crew Jenna Lyons shiny pony? Just asking for a friend. I'm wondering now if true classic red is back in, like Charlotte Tilbury. Correct.
Pathetic. Trying to be bitchy and then just sound so granny. On the Instagram. Is it on the Instagram?
I know that everybody loves that ballet slipper one, but I don't like that because that makes me look like a corpse.
Oh, the kind of beigey.
Yeah.
I don't like that one
the
either.
really pale powdery pink.
But I feel like it's like a beige, like it's almost like a greige pink.
Oh, I don't know. I like a kind of a very, very, very greige. I like greige, like Armani greige, like truly a...
I like greige, but the ballet slippers I think is a greige pink, which is like a dead pink, and I don't like
I'm saying
it.
that's the colour that I'm trying to describe here, like a very grey mauve, very, very pale. I like that instead of like ballet slipper. Do you know what I mean? For the palest colour. I'm obviously not describing this well. And then I also like extremely dark
So
maroon.
they asked, what's your favourite? One favourite?
No, I don't have, it depends on the mood. And then I also like extremely dark maroon, which I think makes me feel powerful instead of that navy. Because I agree, I've tried all these weird colours and then I go, oh, I hate this, and I feel stupid 10 minutes in. And I also really like classic pillar box red. That's the one that I think is very impactful. But I used to also love the orangey red one, and now I don't anymore. I think I just have too much
red lipstick I quite like.
Yeah,
as well.
I have lots of orangey red lipstick too.
I must get my... Well, no. Never get my nails done again.
I'll do your nails for you.
Thanks. But I feel like
Thanks
I
for
need the
sounding
full
so excited.
manicure.
I'll give you the full manicure
experience.
I'll give you the full manicure. I'll put your hands into the tiny little cereal bowl, boiling hot water.
Oh my God, I can't wait. It sounds so
and
glamorous.
I just bought a really nice cuticle remover. I'll clip your cuticles too short.
Okay. Thank you all so much for listening to Not Without My Sister. I have a cuticle remover myself and I can clip my cuticles too low for myself, which is why my nails are so ragged now, because I've done it not that long ago. Thank you all so much for listening to Not Without My Sister. We'll be back next time. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here. If you have any other mailbag questions you'd like to send us, email us notwithoutmysister@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on Instagram anytime you want.
But you know what else? I also have this thing about nails where sometimes when I'm in work or like if I'm out and about and I've just had my nails done, my nails start to feel really claustrophobic and I need that nail varnish off my fingers. Like stat.
Is that why you never get shellac?
Like
you never get the gel?
Hate that. I would hate that idea
weird.
that I cannot take these off.
Like you feel like your nails can't breathe.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be off right now.
Such a weirdo. Such a weirdo. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Not Without My Sister is produced by Liam Garrity, sound and original music by Don Kirkland, and our original illustration is by Lindsay Nielsen.
Oh God!
Back in, quick!
Her.ie says Petrified captures listeners' attention from the get-go.
It won't open?
Reeling them in for a deeply unsettling ride before delivering on some serious scares.
When you call the dead back, they are angry, and they are lost, and they are hungry.
Petrified, the award-winning horror drama returns with a cast including Cecil Baldwin and Larry Fessenden.
Is that Robert? I smelled death. The stench of rot.
Petrified, an all-new season of tales from a darker Ireland begins January 11th wherever you listen to podcasts.
What am I doing? Just let's end this.